What's going on, Razorback fans? Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the pod at the Palace here for another episode of the Hoop Hogs video mailbag series. You ask a Razorback basketball related question, I answer it. That's the way this works. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We post one of these a day, by the way, every morning about 8 o'clock. The goal here is to try to make it from August all the way through the start of the season. I think we got about a month's worth to get through right now. So continue to throw those questions at me, whether it is on the pinned tweet that I have about it on my Twitter profile, throw a comment on the YouTube page, get in the DMs, whatever you want to do, get your question out there, make sure I see it and we will get to it. But today's question comes from Hog Doc. He says, who is the MVP of this year's team? Fun question. We'll talk about a few guys. I think the obvious answer, the easy answer, it's Nelly Davis, right? Johnnie-O Davis, the Florida Atlantic transfer, the number one ranked prospect in the transfer portal this offseason, according to on3.com. He is the real deal, and you brought him in to be the guy. A lot of experience at Florida Atlantic. Obviously, 2 years ago, he was a major piece of that FAU team that made a Cinderella run all the way to the Final Four. He was an even more prominent player on an FAU team last season that made it back to the NCAA tournament. We're talking about a 6'4" guard here who does a little bit of everything. He's a lot of fun to watch. Big-time scorer, average over 18 points per game, shot it very well from three-point range. His mid-range is absolutely lethal. He's strong, physical, can get to the rim. He averaged about 3 assists per game. He averaged over 6 rebounds per game. And he's a good defender too. So can really impact the game in a lot of ways. And he is a takeover type of player, a dude where you need a bucket. You can clear out, give him the rock and let him go to work. I distinctly remember watching him on, it was in December last season. It was right before Christmas and they had a matchup against Arizona. And he took that game over against a really good Arizona team down the stretch. He had 35 points in that game in a double overtime win. And it was just bucket after bucket after pull-up jumper after pull-up jumper. And I may have tweeted it. I know I sent in some group text and I said, Johnnie-O Davis is the best guard in the country, period. And I still believe that. And I'm really excited that he's a Razorback and I'm looking forward to covering him. I think he's going to be the dude. And honestly, he has to be in this backcourt because you got some really nice pieces, but the rest of the guys are maybe a little bit unproven or a little younger in that backcourt. He's the veteran. He's the old head of the group. And he's going to be the guy that they really rely on to give him some scoring punch, leadership on the floor. But he's still not a finished product. He's got some things to work on. I really liked hearing John Calipari say in his post-summer press conference that he is really challenging Nelly in a variety of ways, trying to make him uncomfortable and get him to respond to adversity a little bit better. People with recency bias will think back to the NCAA tournament last year when they lost to Northwestern in overtime, and Nelly had 9 turnovers in that game and made some questionable decisions down the stretch where he could have put his team over the top. So some things that he continues to have to work on there. You're going to make mistakes when you have to be a ball dominant player, when you're relied on so heavily to be a scorer and a guy who can create and be a go-to player. But certainly some things that he can shore up there. And I think he's going to be a big part of Arkansas's 3-point shooting. That's a question mark coming into the year for the Razorbacks in terms of do they have enough on the roster? Well, he is your most proven commodity out there. Let's see, looking at the stats for him last season, he had, how many threes did he make? Nelly Davis made, wow, actually more than I thought. 58 three-pointers made last season at 41.4%. That's really, really good. That's knocking it down. The season before, he made 45 threes and was just a tick under 36%. So a proven high-quality three-point shooter that Arkansas really needs there. Now, who could be the other options? I think you got to look at Jonas Adu, who was one of the top centers in the country to hit the transfer portal in the offseason. A guy who went to an Elite Eight last year, has played in the SEC at Tennessee. I thought he was the most improved player in the league last year. He's going to be an anchor on the defensive end. Can he take another step forward on both ends of the floor? Can he handle physicality a little bit better? Can he shine under the spotlight in those marquee matchups against other really, really good big men and in the SEC or in the country in particular? Can he expand his offensive bag a little bit more? He's really that kind of player just doesn't seem to hit the transfer portal that often. And for Arkansas to get him, we talked about Nelly being the number one ranked guy in the portal. Jonas Adu was pretty consensus a top 10 guy who hit the portal. And those are those two outside additions that Coach Cal made. And so there's your anchors in the backcourt and the front court. How much can you get out of Jonas Adu? He could definitely factor into that MVP conversation. And then I look at DJ Wagner, and I don't know if I would say, oh yeah, DJ Wagner's a good call to be the MVP for this team. He might be your most important player, right? Because he's the other guy in that backcourt with experience in the SEC. Fell short of expectations as a true freshman last year when he was a McDonald's All-American coming in. Oh, he's going to be he's a lock for one of Cal's one and dones again. Didn't do that. But he did average 10 points per game, 3.3 assists per game. As a true freshman in the league, that's nothing to scoff at. But can he take the next step forward and really develop a super dynamic and potent 1-2 punch in that backcourt with Nelly Davis? Can he be a table setter and more of a true point guard? And no, I'm not saying he needs to be DeJuan Harris and only pass the ball. DJ Wagner's wired to score. But can he facilitate it? Can he set his teammates up? Can he make them better? Can he take that 3.3 assists per game to up over 4? And then what kind of progress does he make as a 3-point shooter? Decent enough volume. He made about a 3 per game last year, but he shot it under 30%. You want that to go up. Now, it doesn't have to be crazy. He doesn't have to suddenly become Steph Curry out there and shoot at 45% from 3. But can he get up over 33%? From long distance and improve the spacing on this team. And that obviously will give him the ability then to slide off the ball some and play more at the 2. Then maybe you can experiment with some lineups with Boogie Flan, DJ Wagner, and Nelly Davis sharing the floor together. So I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent there, but I did want to give you a few different options. I think the obvious pick, my pick, would be Nelly Davis with Jonas Adu in second, but keep an eye on a guy like DJ Wagner, and you never know how it's going to shake out over the course of the season. This is a really talented roster, 1 through 9, and any of those guys could step up and be the biggest impact piece for the team. We'll go with the safe bet here for now and say Nelly Davis. So that'll wrap it up for today's episode of the Hoop Hogs video mailbag series. Make sure you get subscribed to our YouTube channel, Inside Arkansas, to follow along with all of these. We post them about 8 o'clock every morning on the daily. And then we've got tons of football content, the Pot of That Nature podcast, our Inside Arkansas Live daily live stream from noon to 1:30 every day. A lot of stuff there, press conferences, player interviews, you name it. We've got it covered, and it's all free. So it's worth giving it a look and checking it out. And we certainly appreciate all the support, and keep the questions rolling because I'm enjoying doing these. Even though football season is here, it's really, really good to be talking about Arkansas basketball and be excited about it because I know the fan base is excited about it. It's going to be a fun season. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pot at the Palace. I'm getting out of here, but we'll catch you guys tomorrow with another episode of the Hoop Hogs video mailbag series.